The UK's immigration landscape is changing more dramatically than anything seen in almost 50 years, and migrants planning their future in the country need to understand exactly what these shifts mean for them. The government has introduced a new settlement framework that completely reshapes ILR pathways, stretching qualifying years and creating two very different journeys, one slower and one faster depending on a person's skills, earnings, or visa category. These changes are expected to impact millions of people, especially those who arrived after 2021, and they represent the biggest redesign of long-term residency rules in modern UK immigration history. The full, detailed version of this update is available on our website, with the link in the description, but let's walk you through the complete picture right here. The most significant part of this reform is the introduction of extended settlement timelines, shifting many migrants from the familiar 5-year ILR route to a much longer path that ranges from 10 to 15 years. According to the government's proposal, nearly 2 million people who came to the UK from 2021 onwards will now have to complete 10 years before qualifying for ILR. For some categories, especially those in lower paid roles, the waiting time is expected to be even longer, pushing them toward a 15-year requirement. This new system reflects a move toward a contribution-based model where long-term settlement is granted not simply for being present in the UK but for how much a person contributes economically, socially, and professionally over time. One of the most debated and sensitive parts of this overhaul concerns health and care visa holders. Between 2022 and 2024 alone, around 616,000 care workers and their dependents arrived in the UK at a time when the country was facing an urgent shortage of staff in the social care sector. These workers were actively encouraged to relocate, many leaving stable roles in their home countries to support the UK's struggling care system. However, under the new settlement model, they now face a 15-year baseline before they can secure ILR, making theirs the longest settlement journey among all illegal migrant groups. Many organizations and community groups argue that this feels unfair, especially given that care workers are among the lowest paid yet most essential workers in the country. The changes raise concerns about whether this group will continue to see the UK as a stable long-term destination or whether these policies might discourage future workforce recruitment. Migrants who arrived just before these new changes may not face the full impact immediately, as the government is working on transitional arrangements. Those already close to completing 5 years on their current visas are waiting for clarity on whether the time they have already spent in the UK will still count toward ILR, or if they will be pushed into the new 10 or 15-year system. Transitional protections are likely to apply for many who entered before or around 2021, but the exact details are still being discussed. People who are partway through their route want assurance that they won't lose years of progress, and this is one of the key areas the government has promised to address before the new rules go fully into effect. Another major part of the reform involves the rules for accessing public funds. Under the new model, migrants will not be allowed to access benefits, universal credit, or social housing even after receiving ILR. These will only become available once a person secures full British citizenship. This change means that the period of financial restriction will be much longer than before, increasing the burden on long-term residents who may already be struggling with rising living costs. Many migrant families who rely on stability from ILR will now have to prepare for several additional years before receiving the support they might need during difficult times. The government's view is that those who benefit from public funds should be fully settled and committed to the country, but critics argue that withholding essential support for up to 15 years creates unnecessary hardship for people who contribute daily to the UK economy. Despite the tougher system for many, the UK is introducing accelerated settlement routes for certain groups. Highly skilled professionals, such as doctors, nurses in the NHS, teachers, and other essential public service workers, will continue to qualify for ILR after 5 years. There are also new fast-track options for high earners, top-rate taxpayers, and global talent applicants who may qualify for ILR in as little as 3 years. This reflects the government's intention to reward professions and individuals who bring strong value to the UK's economy and society. The contribution-based model is designed to encourage skilled workers to remain in the UK long-term and to attract high-income professionals from around the world by offering them a faster and more predictable route to settlement. These reforms show a clear shift in how the UK wants to shape its long-term population and workforce. The message is that routes will become slower for many but faster for those with higher skills or higher earnings. While the government believes this will create a fairer system based on contribution rather than time alone, many migrant communities are worried that the inequalities within the system will grow wider. Migrants in essential but lower paid roles, such as care workers, hospital assistants, and hospitality workers, feel the changes place heavier burdens on them despite their importance to the UK's daily functioning. Advocacy groups argue that a stable and motivated workforce requires fair treatment and predictable settlement pathways, not longer waiting times and increased uncertainty. As these proposals are still undergoing consultation, there may be adjustments and exceptions before they officially become law. Migrants are strongly encouraged to stay updated because the final version of the policy could shift in important ways, especially regarding transitional protections, ILR counting rules, and access to public funds. Anyone planning long-term settlement in the UK should closely follow official announcements to understand how their personal route may change under this new model. This brings us to the end of today's update. These reforms represent a major turning point in how the UK manages long-term immigration, balancing economic contribution with public service needs while reshaping what it means to settle permanently in the country. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to check the full version on our website for more detailed guidance. Thank you for watching, stay informed, and continue supporting the channel by subscribing.